government, while the FIRS described the act as malicious and unprofessional, as members of their staff had a face-off with the FCTA. Well, let's take a look.
Hey! Come on, your hand. Open your hand. Open this gate. Open this gate. Guys, stop fighting now. Put them out. Put them out. Put them out.
All our offices in Abuja listed in this letter, we paid ground rent. In fact, for this particular one, we paid 2,364,003 naira 26 kobo as ground rent covering the said properties. So we don't know why they refuse to acknowledge the money that was paid, why they refuse to issue receipt for the money, and they also went ahead to carry out this rascality, as my colleague said, because this is what they have done. They've only invaded our premises for no just cause. And like we said, we are demanding an apology from FCTA officials who came to carry out this rascality, and they must explain to Nigerians why they chose that option.
I mean, you know, the FIRS, well within their rights to demand an apology. We saw this news, especially with the FIRS, saying that they are not owing, and they demand a public apology from the minister and the FCTA administration. Well, following the altercation, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with the chairman of the FIRS and the FCT Director of Land Administration and issued a 14-day grace period to defaulters. He also issued the same grace period to property owners who have not yet registered their interests or obtained the minister's consent to complete their requirements. The minister of the FCT, WIKE, has also extended the 14-day grace period for all FCT property holders to pay their right of occupancy and certificate of occupancy bills, warning that failure to comply could lead to the revocation of their titles. Well, let's take this reaction from Dr. Udo, who wrote, he wrote to the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and his statement reads, Dear Honorable Minister, Governor WIKE, I write to you as a concerned citizen and member of the public. Sir, you have consistently prided yourself on being a loyal party man and have often stated that you personally funded the People's Democratic Party during times when others abandoned it. Given this, I find it perplexing that the same party you claim to have supported financially is now reported to owe several years of ground rent to the FCTA, an issue that has reportedly led to the sealing of the party's national headquarters. I respectfully seek clarification on how you were funding the PDP, yet such critical financial obligations were left unattended. This matter raises serious questions and deserves honest answers. Thank you for your attention. Concerned citizen there, Mr. Udo. I mean, he asked really, pertinent questions. Yesterday, I watched Bode Judge on the show, on television, and he was talking about the fact that this weekend, you pride yourself as, the main funder of the PDP. How is it that this, your ground rent for your PDP headquarters had been owed for this amount of time and hasn't been paid? Rufai, you're saying that because you're cracking up so much. Go ahead.
I mean, so I think you have to answer that question, but I know that person
from Bode George and this man.
That person was just trolling him. But let's come back to the matter. See,
yes.
If you go and check Abuja as we speak, there are a lot of people living in homes ground rent have not paid. Once you're not on the political spectrum, people can overlook these things. But this PDP case was because of the political spectrum. See, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying do not pay ground rent. I'm not saying don't violate yourself. But the truth has to be said in this country. No matter how much you try to keep your documents intact, when people want to mess you up politically in Nigeria, they will do it. Is it today PDP had ground rent issues? FIRS have come out and said they paid.
Yes.
Why wasn't the payment ratified? And please, I will ask the Abuja Development Council, whatever the council is, to please have a technologically based number. Once you pay, it issues as a return, and you have a backlog in their files. Why was it, some questions I want to ask, now why was it that it was when we saw Minister WIKE take newspaper articles to show that the agreement they tried to have with Umba and Sheyi Makinde didn't work out, the next day was the day that the ground rent issue came up and you had
we
people
saw WIKE's spokesman, what's his name again? WIKE's spokesman yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that this is not politically motivated. And that
I'm sorry, with due respect, what do you expect WIKE's spokesman to say? He will say what WIKE says he should say. That's why he's a spokesman.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't listen to, my intellectual analysis do not listen to...
Larry, right? Is that
I don't remember. I mean, it's not as important to me as anything.
Okay.
I mean, I don't dignify spokesmen. Okay. I don't talk to spokesmen, I talk to their bosses. Yeah. So, the truth has to be said. Yes, I don't talk to spokesmen, I talk to their bosses. So, the truth has to be said that it is incumbent on us to bring to equity. If we are coming to equity, come to equity with clear hands. Yes. I am not absolving those that have not paid ground rents. All I'm saying is and that's why this morning, you know the real hero in this matter? President Tinubu. Yes. President Tinubu, look at this. Yes. You brought about a sense of maturity because you know the implications. And that's why you quickly said, let's extend this for a 14 days grace, which was a great sense of maturity in all of this. All right. Because if he didn't do that now, they will say, President Tinubu prevailed over the disgrace the opposition is facing and all of that. So kudos to him on that. But the PDP, I think fights within their folds have decimated them so much. Yes. And I don't even know if there's a general secretariat that can harmonize all of things. You have to get all your papers and also go and ratify and pay your ground rent. All right. It has to be said. The PDP is saying that it's the highest form of irresponsibility for the government. If they are paying, I believe that they should go ahead. If they are owing, I believe they should still go ahead and pay. FIRS has asked for an apology. We're waiting for an apology. And we need to be sure that these rents that are being owed are not really owed. Dr. Bati, because of time, let's take another story now, please. Well, following claims from opposition parties that the National Assembly acts as a rubber stamp institution, Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele on Monday dismissed the claims, highlighting a series of interventions carried out by the National Assembly in the overriding public interest. The Senate leader said the Assembly engaged in over 39 discussions with the executive regarding the 2024 tax reform bills, which he stated took 6 months of intensive scrutiny before being passed. He also noted that the 2025 appropriation bill introduced on December 18th, 2024 was not passed until February 13th, 2025, all of which he said underscores the legislature's commitment to thorough engagement and due diligence. Well, this is all coming after former President Goodluck Jonathan drew a comparison between the present and past National Assemblies in Nigeria. The former president made the comparison last Wednesday during the Champions of Nigerian Content Awards dinner organized by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Well, let's take a look before we come back for a discussion.
Somebody like Lay Meba, the originator of that bill, that group also is supposed to be recognized because they've done well. And that is the time the National Assembly was a National Assembly. And if you look at this local content bill, and of course you know that in 2000, the NDDC bill, that NDDC bill too was vetoed by the National Assembly. They vetoed President Obasanjo. Normally in other countries, it's the president that veto bills. But in Nigeria, somehow in our process of making laws, it's the National Assembly that veto. The president, if the president don't like any bill and you don't sign, in 30 days, the National Assembly will meet, and if they get to third by counting, not by voice votes.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan, when I saw this video, what did I say? Wawulens. Well, we see Goodluck Jonathan here, really outspoken. I mean, this was last week, Wednesday. But we saw the story that, the opposition leaders have been attacking the National Assembly. I'd like your comments about what the Senate leader had said in comparison with, former president.
There should be no controversy over this. What they say, in simple logic, is that perception is reality. When the State National Assembly started, both the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives both publicly with their own mouths pledged allegiance to President Tinubu. And they said that anything that the president wanted them to do, that's exactly what they will do. And the public, will see that they have followed that pattern so consistently that at the APC National Summit, in fact, they turned the occasion at the Presidential Villa Banquet Hall into a session of the National Assembly, whereby the Senate President himself moved a motion that President Tinubu shall be returned unopposed and that he would get an automatic second term. Guess who seconded the motion? It was the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So that's the perception that they have created. And the Nigerian public has arrived at the opinion that, this doesn't seem to be a very robust National Assembly. It's a National Assembly that genuflects. However, Senator Kwayemi Bamidele, APC, Ekiti Central, says that what they have been doing is constructive engagement and that they adopt behind the scene, engagement with the government, not through confrontation. Then he cites the example of the tax reform bills, 39 engagements he talked about. Look, we all were here when almost the entire North, both governors and civil society leaders, rebelled against those 4 tax reform bills as originally presented. So it was as a result of pressure. It's not because of the ingenuity of the National Assembly. Didn't Oyedele, who led the team, didn't he come here to say that, look, even some of these lawmakers were invited to meetings and they did not show up. But, Senator Bamidele is majority leader. So what do you expect him to say? But if he looks at what he's saying, if he gauges this, weighs it against public perception, he will say that Nigerians believe that this is an over-friendly, rubber stamp, Tinubu-nized National Assembly. As to the other matter about WIKE and Wadata Plaza. Now, okay, it's not just Wadata Plaza, FIRS headquarters, as you mentioned, Ibru Hotel, NAPTIP. The thing with the PDP is that the timing of it, ahead of the NEC meeting, the circumstances in terms of WIKE's issues with the leadership of the People's Democratic Party is what has made people to say it looks so suspicious. It looks politically motivated. That said, we should make the point that he has not acted, however, outside the law. The timing and the circumstances may seem suspicious. Because these same owners of properties in Abuja, when they have houses in London, they have houses in the US, they obey the rules.